So based on that kind of lack of understanding of who we are, we proceed in our lives, and based on the nature of this world, we make some errors, and we do harm to other beings. For example, when you walk down the street, automatically you're crushing all kinds of living beings. When you breathe, there's living beings in the atmosphere that are dying. You know, what to speak of people who, you know, who just by their cultural surroundings are involved in the slaughter of animals. There's a, you know, big reaction to that. It's said that, you know, you take birth for each hair on the body of a cow. So that's a lot of births. Based on the, you know, being implicated in the slaughter of a cow. So birth, death, and on the way, disease and old age. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. So mrityu, death, is the end of the body, and then janma is the beginning. And this happens again and again and again and again, over and over, based on our activities in the world of birth and death. And, you know, as we progress in life, sometimes we get a chance in human life based on what's called sukriti, which means some experience in the heart, some beginning experience in the heart of the realization that I'm not this body. My function in life is not simply to maintain the body, but actually my function in life is something different. You begin to feel this and you begin to sense this. And based on this, we begin to be able to transfer ourselves out of this cycle of samsara, birth and death. You know, it's talked about in many scriptures and described that the whole object of human life, because, you know, unlike animals and plants and so many other living beings, inconceivable numbers of living beings, we can say, like, why? What's this world about? Who am I? What's going on? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, our great like grandfather guru, who's there second from the left, he tells that, you know, the scientists, they're exploring everything, like why the grass is green, why the sky is blue, what's inside of an atom, what's inside of an atom, and deeper and deeper and deeper, trying to figure out how the world is happening. But nobody makes inquiry, or very few make inquiry into, you know, the ultimate problem of life, which is death. How do you solve, is there a way to solve death? They just kind of say, well, we can't understand it, so we're not going to deal with it. We're just going to try to figure out how matter works, and then based on understanding how matter works, how the temporary world works, we're going to come up with science that will enable us to make the body kind of live forever. I've talked with people who actually believe that. Eventually they're going to get, but what they're going to have to do is put computer parts into the body. And so at a certain time, you know, the person is going to be gone. It's just going to be a bunch of computers. You know, so ultimately it's that kind of, Srila Sridhar Maharaj calls it the boomerang reaction. He cites the karmic law, which they've seen in the law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it's like that in karma. If we hurt someone in this life or the next life, we get hurt. It's just as simple as that. Everything is just, everything is balanced. And that gives us explanation for all the varieties of, you know, experiences in life. Why does one person suffer and another person enjoy? You know, nobody can answer that, except those who understand the Vedic religion, the Vedic understanding. They know everybody's born according to the cumulative total of all their previous activities. That's everything. Like the dog, the cat, the tiger, the lion, the elephant, the cow, the human. Just look around us. There's so many humans in this room, 10, 15, but everybody's completely different. Everybody's got particular weaknesses, particular strengths, particular appearances, particular minds, particular intellects. Everybody's different. There's no real equality on the temporary plane of existence. There's all difference. But, this is an aside note, but real equality is there on the spiritual level. We're all souls. And then again, what is the nature of the soul? That is to serve. And that gives us indication of how we can extricate ourselves from this repeated cycle of birth and death. We have to begin to awaken the soul. I'll read something from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Where is it? Oh. Hang on. Some life. Okay. I'll read this introductory. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, someone's saying, well, what happens if there's a nuclear war? What's going to happen to the world? And many people think it's going to come. This was in the 80s. People thought it was going to come very soon, and some of us in California, we moved to the mountains, got ready for the war, and made a place where all the devotees could go to in case there was any kind of, we thought it was imminent economic collapse or nuclear war or something. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj was asked about this, and he said, that is a point on a line on a plane on a solid. So that's, just pointing out that it's just one small thing. So many times, wars are coming and going. So many times, the sun, the earth, and the solar system disappear and again spring up. So he's seeing things in terms of not just this world and this body and this time in which we live in, but he's seeing things in terms of like eternal time, and the view from that point of eternal time of what's going on in this world. It's going on over and over and over. Creation, destruction, from the atomic scale to the body scale to the whole universal scale. That's the nature of the material world. It's constantly moving towards destruction or dissolution. The physicists call this entropy, and in Vaishnavism, we just call this, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kala Hum, I am time, I am eternal time, and I destroy everything. Everything is destroyed by time. So we must try to live in eternity, not any particular span of time or space. We must prepare ourselves for our eternal benefit, not for any temporary remedy. So it means, like, as we act in this world, as we act for temporary benefit, if we act only for that and only based on our own personal desire, then there's going to be a reaction which will impel us into another birth. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying we have to learn how to act on behalf of the eternal and the eternal realm. And the nature of that eternal realm is that it's filled with devotion and dedication and love. And love means sacrifice. So we have to try to learn, begin to learn in our life that, you know, the reality of existence has to do with sacrifice, and existence ultimately means God, you know, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is ruling everything, and of whom we are all servants. You know, we have to learn, begin to learn and accept that. And we begin to learn and accept that. It's very clearly given in Bhagavad Gita what is the nature of this world. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, it's in our book Srimad Bhagavatam, very detailed information about how the universes are created and dissolved and created and dissolved, and how there's, you know, this universe, they can't possibly reach the end of it. Yet we read in the scriptures, in the Vedic cosmology, that there's unlimited universes, unlimited numbers of universes. Well, you know, how can we conceive of that? And that based on the time scale, or the eternal progressive motion of existence, the breath of Vishnu creates universes and dissolves universes. What is like billions of years within our perception is a breath of Vishnu. So, you know, our position in the endless cycles of samsara over possibly millions of years. It's possible. We may have been in this cycle for millions of years. Some may have recently come. Some may have been, you know, here for a medium amount of time. Nobody knows. But we do know that we've all gone through different repeated cycles of this, you know, wheel of samsara that goes round and round and round, birth and death, birth and death. And like I said, the cumulative total of all those actions in all those lives is poof, here we are now. This is it. You know, we've made ourselves a body and a mind and an intellect that has certain capacities. We've been allowed to have certain capacities based on our you know, degree of cooperation with the functioning laws of samsara, of karma, of the wheel of birth and death. If we cooperate with the laws, we receive good things. If we don't cooperate with the laws, we receive bad things. But beyond that, you know, that category of you know, functioning of justice within this world, getting good results for good actions or bad results for bad actions and so on, taking birth in, you know, a really unfortunate position, as we see all over the world. People are born in unfortunate positions. It's very sad. And, you know, naturally people are feeling like, oh, we have to help them. We have to, you know, make arrangements for hospitals and you know, care homes and so many things. And this is all, you know, sattvic. It's all good. And naturally, people who are feeling in contact with the Lord, even in a small degree, naturally feel some compassion for all living beings. You know, for everybody who's suffering. Because ultimately, everyone is suffering the worst thing, which is final death. You know, it's just the worst thing. So then, you know, these people who are helping are good, but there's something that's beyond that temporary help. There's something that's beyond just arranging things in such a way so they're comfortable in their suffering. There's a way in which they can be reached to be helped to get out of the cycle of birth and death. There's a way in which they can be reached, and to do that is, really, it's told by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Krishna himself, who came just 500 years ago. Anyway, we're told by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that this is the the real work of good persons, that we will feel natural feeling for the sufferings of the world as we see in our gurus, and based on that feeling we try to help people not to adjust their position in the the samsara, in the world, the dream of the world of the bodies, but to help them awaken from that dream. That's the real help. And so sometimes people, particularly in India, criticize the Vaishnavas who are worshipping in the temples, praying, chanting in the streets, doing things like that, and they think, oh, they're not really helping people. But in fact, they're doing the real important help, which is to reach into the soul and help to awaken the soul and help that soul realize its true nature, or return to understanding our real nature, and get out of this cycle of birth and death. So at the same time, there's another world which is eternal. We are requested to enter there, to make our home in that plane which neither enters into the jaws of death nor suffers any change. That's the transcendental world. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 16, it is stated, Brahma bhuvanal loka puna avartina arjuna imam upetya tu kaunteya punar janma navidyate. So this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, and he says, even Lord Brahma, the creator himself. So in the cosmology, Brahma is awakened, born in darkness, and he prays he knows there's a source of his existence, so he prays to that source, who is Krishna ultimately, and Tene Brahma Hridoy Adhikavaye. In his heart, Brahma is given knowledge of who he is and what he is to do. So anyway, this is Brahma, the creator himself, but he also has to die. Up to Brahma Loka, the highest planet in the material world, the whole material energy undergoes such changes. So, there's 14 levels of consciousness, or planes of existence. 7 under, 7 above, and the earth is in the middle. I think the first level of the 7 going upwards. And all along the way, there's different degrees of suffering and happiness. And at the top, there's great long life and happiness and so many things. But here in the Gita, it's being said, even those people in that plane, they have to die. There's no escape out of this temporary cycle of birth and death. So, the cycle of birth and death is going on and on and on, and in the particular life that we have, the human form of life, we can begin to look into it and find out. And because Krishna is God, and because we know from our gurus and from our study of the Shastra that Krishna is in every atom, he knows everything. So if we have some inclination to direct ourselves and go towards him, Krishna will respond. And he'll give us information about what this world is and who we are, really, and how we can act, even in terms of our, present conditioned consciousness. We think we're Indian, we think we're American, we think we're English, we think we're, Venezuelan or Colombian or this or that. We have so many, false identities that kind of give us a feeling of, security in this world. I'll be protected, or I'll, in my country will protect me, or my family will protect me, or somehow or other I'll find a situation in which I'll be safe. But the Vedic knowledge tells us temporarily you may find a safe, apparently safe place, but ultimately there's no safe place in this world. And the nature of the world is that it is itself unlimited. It's like a banyan tree, it's described, whose roots go on forever. So the scientists can pursue for all of existence, and still they won't reach the end. They may find finer and finer understandings, which they seem to be doing, which as they get finer, it more and more indicates the importance of consciousness, the importance of the living being. It's not just matter. It's really ultimately the living being, and the matter is produced by the living being, by the desires of the living being. So the Bhagavad Gita describes, chapter 15, Urdhva Mulam Ada Sakyam Asvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandangshi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. The tree of the material world has its roots upward and its branches extended downward. The leaves of the tree are the Vedic hymns. One who understands this tree and its origin is a true knower of the Vedas. So according to Vedic knowledge, everything moves from up to down, not from down to up. In other words, everything comes from spirit, from consciousness, not from matter. They're trying to figure out things based on somehow or other matter combined in such a way as to make life. And they're still trying, and they'll try forever with their ideas of electricity contacting a certain combination of chemicals, or they have so much speculation about how life is produced, but they have no success because life comes from a different place, a different plane of existence. They'll never penetrate it with microscopes or using imperfect material means of consciousness and understanding. We know from I think it's in Srimad Bhagavatam that there are 4 different kinds of defects that the living being has. The senses are imperfect. We all know that. It's right there. They're looking into a microscope. The microscope may be as perfect as they can make it, but the eye itself is limited. It can only see within a certain, they know it can only see within a certain frame of reference. There's so many things beyond that can't be seen. There's so many things beyond the hearing of the ear. They know it by dog whistles and all those kinds of things. There's many things beyond the perception of our senses, but still, because they think, well, that's all we have is our senses, so we have to just do as best we can and try and figure it out. But the alternative view, that's the kind of the samsaric view. Okay, we're all stuck here. We all have to, figure it out based on what's around us, and anything else is just a dream. They think like that. But true spiritual experience comes from a different level of consciousness, and it descends through the agency of people who actually are carrying that spirit, that feeling of spiritual experience. This is Sri Guru. And Sri Guru, by contact with Sri Guru, just by bowing down before a photo of Sri Guru and feeling, I've come to my limit of understanding, and I want to see what is beyond. Please show me. And that first contact, based on that, that bowing down, that feeling of, at least beginning feeling of understanding, at least of the possibility that the other world exists, that there is a spiritual world, and it can be experienced. It's possible. Only just accept that it's possible. And nobody can say otherwise. However developed their science is, they can't prove. They can't prove clearly that there's not something that's beyond their range of experience. They had, in so many ways, the senses are limited and can't see and perceive things. What to speak of the character of the observer, which everybody has a tendency to cheat. Everybody wants to arrange things in such a way. It's the material world. And the ego that covers our soul wants to arrange things in such a way so that, we come out on top. And, if we look at ourselves, we can find that, sometimes we're caught up in doing things like that. Sometimes we're caught up in trying to just place ourselves in a better position than others. Oh, he's not so good, he's got this problem. Oh, he's not so good, he's got this problem. Oh, really, she's not as beautiful as I am, and on and on it can go. It's just that's the material consciousness. And material consciousness isn't going to help us get free from the cycle of birth and death. Where was I just going? What was the foundation? Where was I going? Do you remember the past few sentences? Sorry.
I spaced out a moment. I was wondering too how you got there.
Do you remember?
This envy that we have.
Oh.
Desire to be in a superior position.
I, me, and mine.
Oh, right.
Is the root of this.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So that anyway, everybody's thinking like that, based on the ego, and the ego covers the soul, and the bowing down. Tadvidhi pranipatena pranipat. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you just just bow down, just feel a little bit that I don't know. Please show me. Things are. This world is so massive, and for me to understand it is practically impossible. Please show me. Bow down and experience that. That's the first stage. And through that bowing down, before a picture, before the deity, with feeling, with prayer, then that alternative process of knowledge begins. The transference of inner spiritual knowledge. In Sanskrit, jnana is normal knowledge, and vijnana is spiritual knowledge. Vijnana means really electrified knowledge, something like that. It's knowledge that is not different from transcendental life. Sat Chit Ananda. Chit is like conscious awareness of who we are, what is existence. You know. And that stage develops and comes about by this, by the means of making contact with the transcendental plane and practicing and working on reviving our true spirit by, deconstructing, taking apart our false consciousness, our false self. And it all has to do with just, inner impetus. And that impetus can just be developed. It can grow. It will naturally grow. And whatever obstacles we have in front of us, based on that growth, because we hear from our gurus and we read in the Shastra that the power of spiritual experience is connected with Krishna. And Krishna is the master of that thing which binds us to this world, Maya. Maya Jakshena Prakriti. Krishna says, I'm the master of Maya. Maya is illusion. Maya is thinking I am the doer. I can do stuff and get stuff for me and so many things. And that's the cycle of samsara. Ahankara. I do. I do this, I do that, I do that, I do that. But really, our actions are limited, if we think about it. What are they limited by? Like, who are we? What kind of body do we have? What kind of mind do we have? We're limited. It's not, fully developed. We have a limited capacity to perceive things. We have a limited degree of possibility for understanding things if we just use our senses and our mind and our intelligence. It's like ultimately there's, in our efforts in this world, we'll always find someone who's, got better qualities than us, who has higher intelligence, higher mind, higher senses, higher physical beauty, higher knowledge. There's always someone better. And that's a natural progression, because ultimately there is the best, and that best is Krishna. And everybody who's got qualities that are attractive are reflecting the qualities of who Krishna is and what spiritual life is. So in this world, the Vaishnava ontology, understanding of the world of spirit, doesn't deny the reality of this world and the stuff that we feel and experience in this world. It's like, beauty is real. Love is real. All of us have felt that in different ways, that it's undeniable. But, unfortunately, it's all temporary. And that's not enough for us. We have this desire for, it said rasa, taste. And Krishna is rasovaisa. He's the origin of all rasa, all taste, all experience, all love, all beauty, all truth, all happiness, all ecstasy. Everything is there in Krishna. And similarly, everything is there in the material world, but in a distorted way and in a temporary way. Otherwise, the Vaishnava philosophers say, how could there be this world of extreme variety, extreme experience, extreme, subtle consciousness, subtle types of exchanges, so many different things happening? How could it all be produced from nothing, or a void, or just a blank energy? It's more reasonable to view it that probably all this has to do with another reality that is real, that is higher, that is eternal. And we know, you know, even Plato and others have seen this for, you know, for a long time. There's been, in all cultures, all over the world, undeniably, people experiencing this, you know, this higher notion, this higher understanding that, you know, there's something out of the range of our temporary experience that's the real thing. And, you know, that generally it manifests in religion. So a lot of times it's just in philosophy, which is, you know, directed or pointed towards, you know, religion. But we view religion in the sense of the eternal religion, which is Sanatana Dharma, which means the true nature of the soul. That's everybody. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're in China or Japan or India or Africa or Europe or Russia or America or South America or Australia or Southeast Asia or wherever else I haven't covered. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what kind of body you have. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, what degree of qualities you have. It just depends on the degree of understanding of who you really are. And in that, everybody's connected. In that, everybody really is, like, the ideal is we're all brothers and sisters sharing together, you know, helping each other. Everybody has this kind of, this notion of, you know, some kind of, what's the word? Idyllic situation in which everybody's cooperating and everybody's loving and everybody's connected. But they can't do it. They're trying to figure out how are we going to do that? And, you know, since the beginning of time, there's been philosophies and so many ideas at how to, you know, how to figure this out, how we can all get together. And recently there's different economic systems, different political systems, socialism, communism, capitalism, which emphasize different, you know, different aspects of the attempt at, you know, bringing everyone together and giving everyone a life of, you know, of fulfillment and you know, happy, balanced life experience. You know, so anyway, the communist system, the capitalist system, everyone is sharing, take according to your need, give according to your ability. That's the theory, but of course in the communes, everybody had a small plot of land behind their house, and then there was the giant, you know, giant communal land that they all worked daily. But when it came down to it, the communal land had like mediocre production, but the top production was in each one of the individuals' houses, because each one of the individuals was motivated by their family, by the necessity of their family life, and the necessity of their own individual, you know, needs. And then on the other side, so that's, you know, an incomplete system. It wants to bring about a sharing of everything, but it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because everybody is not connected. And that connection is spiritual. It's the soul connection. It's the Sanatana Dharma. It's the nature of the self which has to be reawakened. And that's what, like, real religion is. So, you know, we don't see somebody's a Hindu, somebody's a Christian, somebody's a Jew, somebody's Muslim, somebody's Zoroastrian, someone's Sikh, someone's Jain, someone's Confucianist or whatever. You know, everybody in different degrees is endeavoring to bring about an awakening of that real spiritual nature. And what does that mean? It means leaving behind the cycle of samsara. And you know, most religious views, at least in the West, don't understand that there's samsara, life, love, birth and death, over and over and over again, going on. But you know, the Buddhist system, the Vedic system, what is called Hinduism, the Sikhs, the Jains, they all have this similar cosmology that's accepted and developed, how the world comes about and how the nature of the individual is spiritual and separate from this body. Whereas in the West, it's a little less developed, but still in the religions, there's a devotional side of every one of the religions where people have developed their, you know, their devotional nature in a very, you know, profound and beautiful way. And we can read about it in the poetry written by different saints in different places all over the world. So anyway, it just indicates the reality of, you know, of the real view of religion. That it's, you know, it has to do with you and me and our nature, our natural nature, connected with the Supreme. The central point is Krishna. We should be thinking about serving the central point, and then if everybody's thinking about serving the central point, then everybody's together. But if everybody's thinking about serving their individual points, then everybody's one way or other, you know, colliding. And so the whole thing goes on, in you know, individually, collectively, nations. The whole thing is just going on, round and round and round, on and on and on. You know, if you study history, you know, what history we know of. Now they're starting to understand that there's history way beyond the previously conceived, you know, idea that, oh, 3,000 years ago they began to farm, and before that they were just wandering and so many things. Now there's a whole different idea of that. We're going to have Arti in just a minute. You guys have to go?
They have to go.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah, maybe get some prasadam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, we're talking about samsara. What is reincarnation? What is karma? And the solution. Once we understand that, once we understand how the world is working, you know, how we're caught in a particular position due to our previous activities, and we're continuing to involve ourselves in that position, in that samsara, we have to begin to question, like, how do we stop it? How do we pull ourselves out of it? And that's clearly given, you know, by those who carry the, you know, the higher knowledge, the higher experience in their hearts, and they can give it. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna. You inquire, you try to find out from someone who knows. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. He can give you vision, darshin, of the tattva, of the truth. Because, you know, he has seen the truth. He knows, I guess darshana means he has seen that, you know, that truth, that understanding. So, you bow down with an idea that there's so much beyond me. Please please reveal to me what this is. What is my position? What I can give? Then make inquiry. You know, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. What is this all about? How do I act in such a way as to help myself leave this cycle? How can I really help myself? How can I really understand who I am and what is my position? And then, you know, finally they say, Sevaya. You know, begin to understand the eternal position that we have as servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So, you know, like I said, there's so many different varieties of, you know, approach to the understanding of the Supreme Lord, and to, you know, finally, the object is full surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna advises, finally in Bhagavad Gita at the end, just, you know, just give up all ideas of gaining things through religion. I want to go to heaven, I want to get a good husband, I want to do that. You know, give up the I, you know, ahang, kara, the binding aspect, and begin to sevaya, begin to serve, begin to give to Krishna, and begin to, you know, enter into our real eternal position. And that stops the cycle of samsara. We stop acting according to karma. You know, I do for me. That's, or karma, you have three kinds of karma. Just normal karma, activities within the ordinary plane of existence. Punya karma, good karma that brings us upward. And vikarma, bad activities that bring us downwards. So, and beyond that, there's akarma, which is bhakti. And to begin to try a little bit to engage in bhakti, as we've all done, you know, however many years we've been involved, we know we're just scratching the surface. We may have been entangled for who knows how many thousands of lifetimes and built up egos and attachments that we have, you know, we have no idea of the degree of depth of it. But at the same time, we have experience and feeling and confidence and vision in the form of the great souls to know that, you know, however great the obstacles appear, however difficult my life appears to be, you know, I can be taken out of this, because Krishna is the strongest. Krishna is above this whole samsara. He's set the whole thing up based on our own distorted desire to exist outside of his service. That's karma, that's samsara, that's reincarnation. You know, it's all based on, it's the world of false consciousness, and then in opposition, the world of transcendental real consciousness. So is it Archie time?
Is it time for Archie? That was wonderful talk, Maharaj. Really nice.
So any questions? Huh?
I'm just thinking.
Okay. Balaram, do you have any questions? Balaram. What?
Where's Artie, you saying? He's come to perform Artie.
Subhadra, do you have any questions?
You want to ask a question? Anything? Question? Anything? Okay. Anything? I don't know. No, just any question.
Nalini Priya. This is Balaram.